What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of From the Sidelines. I'm Cullen Mac.
I'm Daniel DiMaggio.
And we are back in action. We missed a week, but we are back on it. All right, let's talk about guys who embarrassed Rudy Gobert. Luka Doncic, rumored to be eligible for a 5-year, $346 million extension. Also, with this new deal coming in, you see guys like Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Edwards. There's mentions that they could be getting deals worth an annual value of $95 million a year, and that's just a couple years away.
Dante DiVincenzo, New York's own, New Yorkers who are Italians own, is rumored to be playing for Team Italy in the upcoming Paris Olympics. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. He took our team, Team Italy, from a non-contender to a non-contender. But anyway, at least we got Dante DiVincenzo on the squad. He makes that squad watchable. Unless you've got Marco Bellinelli pushing 40 and Danilo Gallinari on it. I mean, I think he's the leader, man. That'll give us some presence. It's like when Anthony Rizzo played for Italy in the World Baseball Classic. So I like it.
Yeah, shout out to Italian Americans everywhere. All right, well, let's talk about some big awards that came out this week. The All-NBA teams came out. Let's start with the first team. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic. A very deserving five. I believe everyone in there, based off their regular season, was very deserving to be on that top list.
I honestly think the most consistent player on that list is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I feel like he's there every year. I feel like he's All-NBA first team every year. And I feel like he doesn't make much noise. But if not making much noise is 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists, then this guy is just a force to be reckoned with, no?
He is the Bucks, so very well deserving of this spot. Moving on to the All-NBA second team, you have some young guys on the list like Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards, and then you move over to the old heads. You've got Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Anthony Davis rounding out the five.
Kawhi Leonard's probably the only person who shouldn't be on this list. I mean, his numbers are just mediocre next to the other guys.
You talked about his mediocre numbers. To be on his side a little bit, I know it's a touchy subject for you. I feel you. In the playoffs, if this was a playoff award, Kawhi Leonard would not and should not be on this list. But because it's a regular season award, he played the 65 minimum game requirement that was needed of him. And he shot 50% from the field, although only averaging 24 a game. 50% from the field is, I think, pretty impressive. So
I don't know. I think it's an insult to the guys who do suit up for their team in the playoffs, though. I still think it's an insult. I think it's an insult to guys on All-NBA third team like Steph Curry, Domantas Sabonis, and LeBron James, who's pushing 40. They should have all been on the All-NBA second team before he should, in my opinion. And Domantas Sabonis averaged damn near a triple-double. That's why I said his name. He averaged 19 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists. I mean, I look like a complete Kawhi Leonard hater. You would never have imagined that the past 5 years he's been my favorite player to watch and probably the guy who got me into basketball. But if I'm looking from a completely unbiased perspective, he doesn't deserve to be on this list.
some other names on the All-NBA third team, Tyrese Halliburton and Devin Booker. I will say, you mentioned Kawhi Leonard shouldn't be on this list. I believe Devin Booker shouldn't really be on this list either. A guy who, added 2 superstars to his team, and you didn't really see any increase or decrease in his numbers per se. One guy I believe that was left off this list, I'll say 2 guys actually. I think Damian Lillard may have been deserving of being on this list. Maybe Donovan Mitchell as well, but I'd really like to point out Jaylen Brown, who the day he found out that he didn't make any of these teams, he dropped 40 points on the Pacers in a very dominant win by the Celtics in Game 2. Tyrese Halliburton was out, but, it's exciting to see that he kind of took that to heart and he wanted to make a statement game.
I agree. I think Dame and I think Jaylen Brown were both robbed. But I think the thing with those 2 guys is they're both second options. So maybe they weren't robbed. I think when looking at, just to wrap things up, when looking at the All-NBA second team, there's got to be room for Anthony Edwards and Brunson in the All-NBA first team when they carried their teams to the playoffs and were MVP candidates. That doesn't scream All-NBA second team to me,
Yeah. Well, talking about the NBA playoffs, let's look at the Eastern Conference. I mean, if this isn't going to be a sweep, it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. The Celtics are looking to take a commanding 3-0 lead on the Pacers today in the Eastern Conference Finals. Tyrese Halliburton is out after injuring his hamstring in Game 2. He's been dealing with this hamstring injury throughout the season. It's been giving him some trouble. So, prayers up to him. Hopefully he gets healthy, and it doesn't affect him long term, like throughout his career, but because they definitely need him. But Celtics are going to the finals. That's kind of written in stone, it seems like.
I just wanted to say something. They definitely are. If it's a hamstring injury, then they're done. We saw what happened to OG Anunoby with the hamstring, right, Cullen? So if it's a hamstring injury, congrats to the Celtics on their finals run.
Yeah, congrats to the Celtics for making it to the finals pretty much. But in this Western side of things, you see the Dallas Mavericks have a commanding 2-0 lead on the Timberwolves right now. They have Game 3 tomorrow, which is Sunday for us. Hopefully the Timberwolves can do something. I would like to see this series go 6, probably in the favor of the Mavs. Anthony Edwards just looks gassed out there. He's doing it all on both ends, guarding Kyrie Irving as best he can, and all while trying to be the best player on the floor. But that's Luka Doncic. But I mean, props to Anthony Edwards. He's really busting his butt out there, trying to give it his all. He keeps running off to the sidelines to get some oxygen. I don't know if he's just that gassed. I mean, you have a guy that's Luka Doncic. You said he's be riddled with injuries, and he's still playing absolutely insane right now.
Well, let's take some blame off Edwards. If we really want to analyze why he's so gassed, one is he's the best player on the team, so he's depended to be that, and he hasn't been. But also, in his defense, the guys aren't stepping up around him. Karl Anthony Towns is rolling over like a wailing duck right now, averaging 16 points and 7 rebounds. It's like he's just like, Ant, you do it. You do it. It's almost like, Ant, you take us to the finals. No, this is a team effort. We're going to need all hands on deck. Even Rudy Gobert, who's been holding his own with 14 and 9. He's doing just what he does, which is just, get rebounds and putbacks. And that's, he's a glorified Ivica Zubac, in my opinion.
Daniel, I want to pose you this question. I've been really excited to talk to you about this. We talked about maybe the Knicks needing to move on from Julius Randle to help Jalen Brunson. Maybe trade Julius Randle away, get some more assets to help Jalen Brunson. Do you think, I think this should happen. I think the Timberwolves need to move on from Karl Anthony Towns. I think it's time for Naz Reid, who so far in this series has been doing everything that Karl Anthony Towns thinks he can do. Naz Reid playing absolutely insane, 6th Man of the Year, showing that he should be a starter on this Timberwolves team, and Karl Anthony Towns needs to be shipped away for some assets to help Naz Reid and Anthony Edwards win a title, because they are this close away from being title contenders. They are this close away from being NBA champions.
That's a hot take, but I think if he keeps playing the way he is in this series, that'll determine it. I think that if he can step it up, I really do. I think if he can step it up and get the team back into the finals, then I don't think they should have a discussion about getting rid of this guy. But if they lose 4-0 or 4-1 to the Mavs, then he's to blame, and they should think about trading him for sure.
That wraps up the NBA playoffs for us. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to Major League Baseball, and let's focus on two of the best teams. Over in the American League East, we have the New York Yankees, and over in the NL East, we have the Philadelphia Phillies. Let me start with the Phillies. They're 37-15, which is first in the NL East. You're sure the Mets aren't first? Isn't that funny? That's the funniest thing I've said all day. But you would think Bryce Harper's leading the team, or a Nick Castellanos, or even a JT Realmuto. But no, the guy at the hot corner is Alec Boehm with the flow. Alec Floam, I like to call him. If you remember, last year, I think it was against the Mets, we could see this guy mouthing the words, "I hate being here," in reference to Philadelphia. I think he made 2 errors, and it was a really bad game for him, and the fans were kind of turning on him. But fast forward a year later, and he's putting the team on his back with, a team leading .315 batting average, 46 RBIs, and 61 hits. And also, to go with, they've got a starting pitcher, too, named
Ranger Suarez,
who has 9 wins. That's first in the MLB.
Isn't he second in the MLB in ERA as well?
Yeah, he's got a 1.36 ERA. So he's playing like prime Roy Halladay, rest in peace. I mean, if they can get it together, and then you've got the Yankees on the other side of things, who are 36 and 17, first in the AL East. Soto's also batting like Bohm, 315 on the dot, also leading his team with a 413 on base percentage. Anything over 400 is ridiculous. And 43 RBIs for like a two hitter. That's incredible. I mean, a lot of that OPB has to do with his walks and his eye at the plate, but he's also, he's killing it. He's killing it. And that's exactly what you want from future Met Juan Soto. I'm kidding. But also, Aaron Judge is doing his thing, former MVP, one of the best players in baseball, 16 home runs, 17 doubles. I think he's capable of more, to be honest. All while their ace, Garrett Cole, has been out. He's been injured. I think it's an elbow injury. I'm not sure. There's so many injuries I forget at this point. But good thing that starting pitchers like Luis Gil and Clark Schmidt and Carlos Rodon have all stepped up in his place. I don't know, man. I'm starting to see in my little, in my chamber of secrets, I'm starting to see a 2009 World Series rematch between the Phillies and the Yankees. What do you think, Cullen?
If they're playing like how they are right now, both of these teams, it'll be a really exciting World Series. One thing to note, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, I think combined have over 40 home runs altogether. That's more than a couple MLB teams. The Bronx Bombers are alive and well.
And the New York Mets are dead and buried. I'm kidding. We're not going to include that. Let's move on to hockey.
All right, well, moving on to hockey, I am wearing the jersey of the Great One, and if you don't know who the Great One is, you probably shouldn't be watching this segment. No, the NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs are happening right now. In the East, the Florida Panthers are taking on the New York Rangers. It's tied 1-1. In Game 2, rookie Matt Rempe made his return to the lineup, and that dude's a scrapper. He's like 6'7", he's super wiry, he loves to fight. I mean, they just had a dominant Game 2, really showed the Florida Panthers that, they're not going down that easy. Props to Igor Shesterkin, the goalie for the New York Rangers. He had 26 saves with a .96 save percentage. I mean, this guy is one of the best goalies in the league for a reason. Also, another thing to note, Barclay Goodrow, a guy who only has 4 goals on the season, hit the game-winning goal in overtime. So props to him. That's really cool. If we head over to the West, there's also the Edmonton Oilers, led by a Mr. Connor McDavid, taking on the Dallas Stars. They are up 1-0, but I believe right now they're playing Game 2, and it's tied 1-1 heading into the second period. I would love to see Edmonton Oilers versus the New York Rangers in the final. That would be insane to see. The best player in all of hockey, Connor McDavid, going up against one of, if not the best goalie in hockey, in Igor Shesterkin. Well, before Daniel and I get into a fight and get 2 5-minute majors and have to hit the box, I think we're going to end this episode. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to From the Sidelines. I'm Cullen Mac.
I'm Daniel DiMaggio.
We'll see you guys next week.